Hello again, Year 7. Today we are ordering positive and negative fractions. So we want to fill in some blanks here. To order or arrange fractions, you must know how to compare them. If the numerators are the same, then the smallest fraction is the one with the largest denominator. So you can see in this example here, both of these fractions have the same number on the top, the 1. That means the one with the largest denominator, which is the 5, is the smallest one because it's been divided up into more parts. Okay, so 1/5 is smaller than or less than, that symbol that we have in there, 1/3. Next one, if the denominators are the same, then the smallest fraction is the one with the smallest numerator. Okay, so we can use this example here. Now we have the denominators the same, so the two things have been divided up into the same number of parts, which means that the smallest one is the one with the smallest number on the top. So 3/10 is smaller than 4/10. If the numerators and denominators are both different, you must convert the fractions so that they have the same denominator. Okay, and we're going to be comparing them by putting things in ascending and descending order. So the word ascending order means the numbers are going up from smallest to largest. And descending order means that the numbers are going down from the largest number to the smallest number. Okay, so here are our examples for today. We want to place the correct symbol, less than or greater than, between the fractions. So in the first example here, we have the denominators the same. Okay, they're both 5s. When that happens, we're looking for the one with the smallest numerator because that will be the smallest fraction. So 2/5 is smaller than 4/5. That means we need a less than sign to go in here. The arrow always points to the smaller number for these symbols. Let's look at the second one. This time we have the numerators the same. Okay. When this happens, the smaller fraction is the one with the bigger denominator because we're cutting it into more pieces. So that means the 1/5 is smaller. So the arrow points to the 1/5. In the third one, the numerators are different and the denominators are different. Okay, so to compare these, we need to rewrite those fractions with the same denominator. Now, we spent a lesson finding equivalent fractions, and that's what we're going to do here. So to find an equivalent fraction, I'm going to multiply the two denominators together. So 3 times 5 is 15. And I want two fractions that both have a denominator of 15. Now, this first fraction, the 2/3, I would have to multiply that whole fraction by 5. Okay, to get that 15 on the bottom, because 3 times 5 makes 15. So that means I need to multiply the 2 by 5, making the top number a 10. The second fraction, I'm trying to find an equivalent fraction from the 3/5 here. This fraction has been multiplied by 3. See, to go from 5 to 15, you multiply by 3. So from 3, I have to multiply that by 3 as well. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so now using these fractions I've written down here in red, we have the same denominator here. And so I can see from the numerators that 9 is smaller than 10. So that fraction is smaller. So in the box up here, that means that 3/5 is smaller than 2/3. Okay, let's look at the last one of these. We have 2 3/7. And we have 16/7. Now they do both have the same denominator, but we just need to be a little bit careful because one is a mixed numeral and one is an improper fraction. So we've practiced this. We can change that we can change that mixed numeral there into an improper fraction. So let's do that. The 7 will stay on the bottom. We times 7 by 2. 7 times 2 is 14. And we add on the 3 on top. So 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so that first fraction is the same as 17 over 7. And the second fraction is 16 over 7. So because the denominators are the same, 16 would be smaller than 17. So we point the arrow towards the 16. Example 2. Sort the following groups of fractions into ascending order. Remember that ascending means that we want from the smallest one through to the highest one. Now looking at the fractions that we have down here for part A, all of those denominators and all the numerators, they are all different. So we need to have a common denominator so that we can compare them accurately. So the easiest thing to do is to times all three numbers there together. 4 times 5, that's 20, times 3 is 60. So I'm going to find 3 equivalent fractions with 60 as the denominator. Okay, so this first fraction, the 3 over 4, it has been multiplied by the 5 and the 3, which is 15. I've multiplied by 15. So that means I need to multiply the 3 by 15. 3 times 15 is 45. The second fraction, 4 over 5, to get that 5 to become a 60, I've multiplied by the 3 and the 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. I've multiplied by 12. 4 times by 12 makes 48 for the second fraction. And the last fraction, the 2 over 3, that 3 was multiplied by the 4 and the 5. 4 times 5 is 20. So I've really multiplied 3 by 20 to get to 60. So I have to multiply the 2 by 20, which is 40. So now that they all have the same denominator, it is easy to see which one is the smallest, because we just look at the numerators. The smallest numerator is the 40 over 60. Then the next one would be the 45 over 60, and the largest one would be the 48 over 60. However, this stuff that I've written here in red, that's my working out. When I write my answer down, I want to use the original fractions that I was given in the question. So over here on the side, putting them in order, the 40 over 60 was 2 over 3. That was the smallest fraction. The next one was the 45 over 60, and that was the 3/4. And finally, the largest fraction was the 48 over 60, which was the 4 over 5. Okay, so make sure that you always write them in the original fractions. Part B, we have 4 fractions here to compare. 1 3/5, 7 over 4, 2 1/4, and 11 over 5. Now, first of all, we don't really like having some of them as mixed numerals and some of them as improper fractions. So let's change all of them so that they are improper fractions. The first one, I have a denominator of 5. I go 5 times 1, which is 5, and add on the 3, which makes 8. The second one is already an improper fraction, so I'm just going to leave it 7 over 4. The third one, 4 is my denominator. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 more makes 9. And the last one is already an improper fraction, so let's leave it like that. Okay, now I want them all to have the same denominator so that I can compare them. Now I really only have 2 different denominators here, 4 and 5. So I don't need to multiply all of them. I don't need to go 4 times 5 times 4 times 5. I can just go 4 times 5 is 20 and make all of them denominators of 20. So keeping them all in the same order, denominators of 20. Now the first fraction started out with a denominator of 5. So I would have to multiply by 4 to get to 20. So multiply the 8 by 4 makes 32. The second fraction started off as a 4 with the denominator. So it's been multiplied by 5 to make 20. 7 times 5 makes 35. The third fraction has 4 as the denominator, so it's been multiplied by 5 to get to 20. 9 times by 5 is 45. And the last fraction, a denominator of 5, has been multiplied by 4 to get to 20. So 11 times by 4 makes 44. So now all the denominators are the same. I can see from the numerators which one is the smallest. And the smallest one is the smallest number. The 32 over 20 is the smallest. Then the 35 over 20. Then the 44 over 20. And then the 45 over 20. But remember, like in part A, I need to use the original fractions to write the answer down. So I'm going to change to green again for my answer. The smallest one, the 32 over 20, that was 1 3/5. The second largest was the 35 over 20, which was 7 over 4. The next largest was the 44 over 20, which is 11 over 5. And the largest one, the 45 over 20, is 2 1/4.